I don't know anything about where dancing started. I don't really care where it's going. All I know is I just dance.
Famous for his groundbreaking synthesis of tap, ballroom, and ballet, Fred Astaire's name will live on in the annals of dance. He was named the best popular music dancer of all time after amassing an impressive collection of honors over his legendary career. Fred Astaire's personal life is shrouded in mystery, which has kept his followers in the dark about his hardships and disappointments, even though he is still a source of great pride for them. The fact that Fred Astaire, like countless others, felt let down and had dreams dashed is easy to overlook. Watch this video if you want to know more about the obscure parts of Fred Astaire's life. Fred Astaire's mother's hopes for a better life and his own formative experiences set him on the path to stardom at an early age. Fred and Adele's destiny was always to be actors when they were kids in Omaha, Nebraska. It all started with Adele's natural ability and her early dance classes, which sparked their interest in performing. When they were little, their mother did a lot to help them develop their abilities and believe in themselves so they could leave Omaha. The siblings' creative pursuits were inspired by Adele, who possessed an innate charisma and elegance. Being the younger sibling, Fred admired and tried to mimic his sister's behavior. They would build their careers upon their bond and mutual passion for dancing. The family moved to the exciting metropolis of New York City in search of opportunity. They discovered an ideal venue right in the middle of Broadway to display their abilities. Their meteoric rise to fame began in 1917 with their sensational Broadway debut in Over the Top. Adele and Fred's extraordinary abilities continued to mesmerize audiences throughout the 1920s as they starred in hit musicals like Lady Be Good and Funny Face. Not only did audiences praise their performances, but they also attracted the attention of powerful society people. After being discovered, they were elevated from the status of aspiring entertainers to superstars. But there was a delay in making the leap from stage to screen. In 1928, Adele and Fred took a daring step by moving to London in their pursuit of greater fame. Their professional journeys took a fresh turn at that location. During their time performing in the lively West End of London, they became hugely successful, captivating crowds and frequently playing for notable figures such as members of the royal family, Lord Charles Cavendish and Winston Churchill. As their careers skyrocketed, though, a major turning point was on the horizon. After deciding to marry Lord Charles Cavendish in 1932, Adele retired from the spotlight and called it quits on her professional career. Many were both relieved and saddened by the decision, which marked the final chapter for the charismatic couple. Without his dear sister by his side, Fred felt an overwhelming feeling of loss as he prepared to perform. It was a tough decision, but Fred Astaire was determined to continue and respect their joint history, so he went alone. He would go on to become a dancing and entertainment phenomenon thanks to this decision. Fred became a legendary personality in the dance and cinema industries via his solo career, despite his lifelong sadness at losing Adele as his companion. The move to Hollywood was a watershed moment in Fred and Adele Astaire's careers. When Hollywood started to welcome more diverse artists in 1927, the Astaire siblings were ready to take advantage of the chance. They were self-assured and prepared to dominate Hollywood after their considerable success on Broadway and the West End of Britain. Their initial venture into Hollywood was a screen test for a film version of Funny Face. They were met with great expectations, considering their stellar reputation in the entertainment industry. Unfortunately, their first foray into Hollywood did not go according to plan. According to Dance Magazine's Clive Barnes, the producers weren't too fond of Adele, calling her lively. Fred was also the target of criticism. The studio had doubts about his acting chops, singing ability, and physical attractiveness, pointing out his thinning hair and limited dancing skills. Fred Astaire's steadfast dedication to preserving the flow of movement in his performances motivated his opposition to rapid cuts and shots. Cinematic approaches, in his opinion, may detract from the elegance and dexterity of his dance numbers. His conviction that dances should be experienced in their whole was demonstrated by his commitment to maintaining their authenticity. According to New York Times writer Anna Kisselgoff, Fred Astaire's films were more like stage productions with elaborate dance sequences embedded deep within the story. With Astaire, the art of dance took center stage in his films, setting them apart from the norm of feature films that incorporate dance scenes as minor interludes. In this drama, the choreography is crucial to moving the plot along. Thus, viewers may anticipate a smooth incorporation of dance into the plot. Viewers were captivated by Fred Astaire's performances whether they were on stage or in a film. Because of his commitment to maintaining the authenticity of dance in his films, a unique and emerging art form was born: film dance. An interesting backdrop to the life and career of the great entertainer Fred Astaire is provided by the narrative of his familial background. Fred Fritz Aetz was born in Linz, Austria. Nonetheless, his sister Adele and he were both born in the U.S. Leaving his own nation, Frederick fearlessly set out for the United States in search of a better life and more prospects. Johanna Gies was a teacher in a German Lutheran immigrant settlement in Omaha, Nebraska, when Frederick Aetz arrived. The two women crossed paths. Two extraordinary children, Adele Aetz and Frederick Austerlitz, better known as Fred Astaire, were born into their union. Importantly, the family decided to move to New York City so that Frederick, who stayed in Nebraska to provide a regular income, and their bright children may continue their dancing careers. During this pivotal time in New York, the family's name changed drastically. Their dancing instructor, Claude Alvin, said they should change their surname from Austerlitz, since it sounded too Germanic and would be better for their budding entertainment careers. In accordance with this recommendation, Fred Aetz changed his name to Fred Astaire, and Adele Aetz became Adele Astaire. It was at this moment that the legendary Astaire siblings, Adele and Fred, came into the world as a performing couple. Even though they would go on to form one of the most famous film pairings of all time, Fred Astaire was originally unimpressed by the idea of working with Ginger Rogers. Fred wrote to his agent Leland Howard in 1934, following his sister Adele's departure from the entertainment industry, expressing his apprehensions of collaborating with Ginger Rogers. He fiercely protested, "What's all this talk about me being teamed with Ginger Rogers? I will not have it, Leland. I did not go into pictures to be teamed with her or anyone else, and if that is the program in mind for me, I will not stand for it." This initial reaction demonstrated Astaire's ambition for a solo career in Hollywood. He was hell-bent on becoming famous as a solo artist, adding to his already impressive resume as a dancer and entertainer. Unfortunately, his ambitions were foiled by destiny. According to Fred Astaire's account, Astaire and Rogers had a shared ambition to achieve success in show business on their own. While Astaire hoped to perform solo shows showcasing his dancing skills, Rogers wanted to be known more for her acting than her dancing. Things were a little tense when they first started dating. Astaire and Rogers had an affair before they ever worked together professionally. They may have developed into a committed relationship if Rogers had remained in New York at that time, as she explained in her autobiography. But their romantic connection went in another direction, and they ended up working together professionally, which was a whole new ballgame. Because of his obsession with detail and dogged persistence in training, Astaire gained widespread reputation. To a whole new level, he elevated the idea of practice and accuracy. Rogers was unable to devote as much time to other projects because of the amount of time she had to spend learning dance numbers with Astaire due to his unyielding approach. Their work together has its share of strange occurrences and disagreements. Always looking for ways to improve, Astaire would frequently pick apart every aspect of their performances. He would become agitated if feathers went in Rogers' mouth or if his bell-shaped sleeves touched his face when he was spinning around the stage. Although it adds to their famed on-screen connection, this degree of detail might be taxing and difficult for the two actors. Even though she had indisputable skill and made significant contributions, Rogers occasionally felt eclipsed by Astaire's enormous fame. Some animosity bubbled up from beneath the surface every now and again. She felt her labor was underappreciated. In addition to his legendary dance abilities, Fred Astaire was renowned for his immaculate taste in clothing. During his stay in London, his already renowned sartorial grace and meticulous attention to detail shone even brighter. Even though he had always been careful with his attire, he threw himself into fashion in London, trying to imitate the flawless taste of the British aristocracy. Savile Row, a street in London known for its tailoring studios and custom apparel, was one of Astaire's frequent destinations. Anderson and Shepherd was his favorite of the illustrious Savile Row tailors. The business had a stellar reputation among both gentlemen and royal family members. The British aristocracy, and Prince Charles in particular, inspired Astaire's taste in clothing. He wanted to be just like the prince, and he was especially enchanted with waistcoats. Astaire did not miss an opportunity to investigate the famous tailor Huntsman & Sons, after learning that the Prince of Wales purchased his garments from them. While Astaire was on the hunt for the ideal waistcoat, he also had an excellent sense of style when it came to clean, well-tailored shirts. Shirts made by the illustrious, meticulously crafted brands Burberry and Turnbull and Astaire were his favorites. Not only did Astaire have an eye for gorgeous apparel, but he also insisted that it serve its purpose when dancing, which was what really set him apart. The London Museum that pays homage to Astaire claims that he frequently wore his own outfits on screen. He would dance in each outfit he was planning to wear before he would wear it. To make sure the costume gave him the freedom to move freely and comfortably as he danced, Astaire would demonstrate various moves and movements. Even the tailoring was well considered. His outfits had to be tailor-made to provide him the mobility he needed without sacrificing style. Tailors assigned to Astaire's outfit were master craftspeople who were familiar with the specific needs of the dancing profession. Their creations enabled Astaire to move with elegance and accuracy while still looking great. During the 1967 recording sessions for their legendary album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the Beatles came up with the brilliant idea to have a throng of famous persons' cutouts on the cover. Fred Astaire, the iconic dancer, was one of the famous people that were considered for inclusion. The original idea for the album cover was to include the band members encircled by these paper cutouts, making for an unusual and striking sight. Being a part of this revolutionary creative project thrilled Astaire, who is renowned for his inventiveness and contributions to the dance industry. By appearing on the cover of the Sgt. Pepper album, Astaire further cemented his place in pop culture and demonstrated his influence on the entertainment industry. His inclusion among the illustrious individuals honored on the cover served as a powerful symbol of his enduring impact. When John Lennon and Yoko Ono moved to New York City in the summer of 1971, Fred Astaire had another extraordinary encounter with one of the Beatles. Neighbors at Manhattan's exclusive St. Regis Hotel, Astaire and Lennon struck up an unexpected but lovely relationship. At this time, the multi-talented Astaire called on Lennon and greeted him warmly at his home. An unforeseen partnership emerged from this fortuitous encounter. With the agreement of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Astaire agreed to appear in the autobiographical film Imagine. In the film, he played a character based on himself, reviving his cinematic persona. Even at the latter end of his career, Astaire was eager to try new things creatively, and their partnership proved it. One of the Beatles' other members, Paul McCartney, went on record saying how much he admired Fred Astaire as a fashion hero and performer. Astaire's coats were easily recognizable by McCartney due to their characteristic straight lines and slick fabrics. McCartney was deeply influenced by Astaire's excellent sense of style and aspired to imitate it. In addition to Astaire's impeccable taste in clothing, McCartney found much to admire in the way he sang. Beyond his influence in dance and film, Astaire's unique vocal style and phrasing reverberated in the world of music, as was attempted by McCartney during the recording of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This further demonstrates the multi-dimensional impact Astaire had on the entertainment industry. The extremely huge hands of Fred Astaire, the legendary dancer known for his grace and elegance, were one of his distinguishing physical features. The disparity between his delicate form and his huge hands became an identifiable feature of his physique, despite his small and slender body. Astaire gave the impression of being of average height by hiding his slim figure behind his immaculately fitted jackets and trousers. On the other hand, his hands stood out and became a distinguishing feature. His hands were more like those of a lawyer or carpenter than a dancer, with small palms and large, stocky fingers. His thumb was the most noticeable feature. It was abnormally long and appeared to outstrip the rest of his hand. Astaire felt self-conscious about this physical oddity, especially when he contrasted his hands to the elegant and fragile hands of ballet dancers. As he would openly admit to his fellow dancer Leslie Caron, "My hands are huge. Look at them. In ballet, you need to hold your hands so gracefully, and my hands are so big that I would look ridiculous." Because Astaire was so fixated on perfection, he was hell-bent on fixing this apparent flaw. He came to understand that in the dancing world, the hands were just as important as any other part of the body when it came to projecting an air of refined elegance. His big hands were a distraction, so he figured up a way to make them look smaller, especially when he danced. A crucial part of Astaire's plan was to change his finger placement so he looked more proportional. To do this, he bent his middle finger and partially covered his fourth finger with it. He narrowed and shortened his hand with this little tweak, making it seem better with the rest of his slim figure. Even the tiniest movements, like slipping a hand into a pocket, were studied by Astaire in great detail so that they seemed as refined and beautiful as they could be. Beyond his own time, Fred Astaire's impact on the dance world was immense, and it will be felt by dancers and choreographers for decades to come. Notable figures in the world of dance couldn't help but admire and appreciate him for his exceptional talent and unmatched commitment to his trade. The American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award was awarded to Astaire in 1981 by Mikhail Baryshnikov, a highly esteemed dancer of the 20th century, who eloquently conveyed the feelings of many in the dance world. Baryshnikov openly admitted the mixed emotions that Astaire's genius caused in his colleagues, saying, "It's no secret we hate him. He gives us complexes because he's too perfect." He stressed the difficulty of competing with Astaire, whose flawless performances were constantly on display, creating an impossible bar for everyone who came after him. The legendary British dancer Margot Fonteyn was enchanted by Fred Astaire's dancing. She said it was more natural than breathing. Fontain's praise attracted attention to the elegance and ease with which Astaire performed, which made even the most complicated routines look natural. New York City Ballet co-founder and renowned choreographer George Balanchine saw Astaire's exceptional skill. Noting the concentration of brilliance shared by Astaire and Johann Sebastian Bach, he made comparisons between the two. An indication of the lasting legacy of Astaire's skill is that Balanchine thought Astaire had a significant impact on his own work. The fact that another renowned choreographer, Jerome Robbins, used footage of Astaire and Rita Hayworth in his 1983 ballet I'm Old-Fashioned further proves that Astaire will always have an impact on the dance industry. One of the most famous ballet dancers of the 20th century, Rudolf Nureyev, paid tribute to Astaire's legacy by doing a tap number in his honor on The Muppet Show. This demonstrated how much respect everyone has for Astaire's work in the dance world. Maris Cunningham, a pioneering dancer and choreographer renowned for his innovative style, said that Fred Astaire's films prompted him to start dancing. In 1987, when presenting Astaire with the Capito Award, Cunningham danced a tribute to Astaire's individuality. He went on to say that seeing Astaire perform was an emotional high and a welcome diversion from mental gymnastics. Skateboarding became a passion of Astaire's after he became 70 years old, and it was a noteworthy part of his latter life. Regardless of age, Astaire's daring and eagerness to take on new challenges were on full display in this surprising choice. He demonstrated his unwavering commitment to staying healthy and his lifelong love of skating. Astaire's passion for dancing was ever present, and he never stopped showcasing his talent to the world. His devotion to dance was timeless, and his legacy is an inspiration to modern-day dancers and fans. After Astaire's first wife died of illness 26 years ago, he had a second shot at love in his private life. In 1980, at the age of 81, Fred Astaire wed Robin Smith, a professional jockey who was 35 years old. This union brought him joy again. Both of them were filled with enormous delight by their union, and they enjoyed 7 years of bliss together. Fred Astaire's life was tragically cut short by pneumonia when he was 88 years old. His death, according to Robin Smith, was sudden and unexpected, but it ended his agony before it had ever begun. After 7 years of what she called blissful bliss, she thought on their relationship and said that she believed it was fate. "Definitely, I believe God connected us," she declared. In keeping with Fred Astaire's desire for a private and heartfelt farewell, his funeral services were held in private. Protecting his private life and wealth from prying eyes, his will remained secret. Smith was unwavering in her duty as his widow and heir to his fortune in upholding Astaire's desires and preventing the illegal use of his likeness or creative work. She made it clear that she would not back down from respecting his desires and legacy, no matter the backlash she received. Her unwavering commitment to preserving his legacy reflected her deep affection for him and her determination to honor his principles and goals. Do you have any thoughts on the obscure information about Fred Astaire? Feel free to share your thoughts in the space provided. We trust that this video has been of use to you. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, like, and share it. My sincere appreciation for your time. Till our next video, take care. I will miss you.